All right, you made it to the third video. Congratulations, by the way. That's awesome. It may not seem like a lot to you, but we are so inundated with messaging and information and just things coming at us from every direction that I'm starting to believe that that's a big reason why people don't find success, at least not faster than they do. There's something to be said for simply protecting your bandwidth. You know what I mean? There's something to be said for being able to stay focused in an atmosphere and an environment that's incredibly noisy and distracting. It's very hard to do. And even the fact that you got here to this third video suggests to me that you are okay with it or good at it. So kudos. And your reward is that I'm going to break down for you in better detail than I have so far exactly how to make a fire starter post. So let's start with this. Remember this diagram from, I think it was video 1 or maybe it was 2, whatever. The first thing you want to do when it comes to creating fire starter post trainings, that's the training that you give away using the post that I'm going to teach you about in a minute. The first thing to do is identify single valuable outcomes within your expertise. So like I'm doing right now, I'm teaching you one piece of the many different pieces I have that will help you to develop your authority, to get more clients, to cut through the noise, to sort of develop your personal brand voice. There are all these things that really need to happen if you want to sort of not fight as much to get clients. If you want getting clients to feel a little more predictable, a little more consistent, then there are quite a few things that really need to take place so that you can start to stand out in a very, very noisy and crowded space, right? So the first thing is you take a piece of paper, whatever, it could be a note, it doesn't matter, right? Just write it down somewhere and really break your expertise down. Now, I want to give you an example here because what will almost certainly happen is as you're doing this, you will overlook things because they're so easy to you. You've got a lot of pieces of your overall skill set that you just take for granted. A couple of years ago, I was working with someone to help me organize my thoughts on a new offer. And I was talking about building Facebook groups for people. And then the idea was that I would build them, fill them, manage them, and monetize them, and we would split the revenue. It's a pretty sweet offer. And as I was wanting to map this out and make it more tangible and less like something that I just kept in my head all the time, which, by the way, is another thing that newer coaches tend to do. You don't build systems, you try to keep everything in your head. Also a recipe for disaster, but that's a different training. We were talking, and the guy that I had hired was asking me, so what goes into this? I said, well, it's just making a Facebook group. He said, no. What steps go into making the Facebook group? I said, well, you got to make the shell of the group. You got to do the banner art. You got to do the welcome post. I said, exactly. Each of those things, to someone who doesn't know, are individual skills. And I want you to think the same way about your skills. What is it that within your expertise is so easy for you that you just assume everybody knows it? Because it's almost a guarantee that they don't. It's almost a guarantee that you're just making an assumption. And when you can really get granular, and I'm talking really specific about all the things that you can do, not only do you have more clarity, which makes you a better expert and a better communicator about your subject, but you got more topics, right? And this is what you want. You want as many individual topics as you can that would actually be valuable to your audience. Like, that's really important. So you don't want to teach more than one thing inside of a free training that goes with a fire starter post, but you also don't want to have it be not anything. Do you know what I mean? I hope that that makes sense, because a lot of us accidentally, or maybe it's deliberately, or we don't know any better, we fill things with fluff, and you want to stay away from that. There's got to be some kind of transformation that happens or could potentially happen. So now that you've got that, I'm going to get deep here with you. I'm going to get ninja level here with you, because this is where things get really powerful. If you will sit down and make a list of all the objections you've ever gotten while you were selling or in enrollment calls, trying to sell your program, your services, your coaching, whatever it is, all the objections, and just get as granular as you possibly can. What you'll find is that the most potent thing you can do for these fire starters is make each fire starter a response to an objection that you get. But you've got to be subtle here. You can't just make your fire starters like, they can't be obvious. It's got to be nuanced. And so if somebody says, if a common objection for you is, I can't afford it right now, the reality of that objection is, I either don't trust you, or I don't trust myself, or I don't trust your process. And then there's a small percentage of people, it's legitimate, but it's a small percent who actually can't afford it right now. And so you never want to be on a call, an enrollment call, get to the end of it and get the money objection when you could have handled that way ahead of time. So for instance, if I can't afford it or I need to think about it is an objection, then you could do a fire starter training on how to be able to think clearly and make strategic decisions quickly. Do you see how that's not in your face in terms of being a response to a money objection, but it's something that people that addresses the money objection, right? Or the I don't trust you, me, or whatever objection. And so the stronger, the more powerfully you can relate your free trainings to objections and kind of shift beliefs around those objections ahead of time, the better everything downstream will be for you. And so, again, just to really slow down and break this part down for you, you want a piece of paper, you want 2 columns, and in 1 column, you break down every piece of your expertise. And then you have to do some thinking here. And then you go and you write all your objections down, and you ask yourself for every one, how can I create a training that sort of deals with this objection or speaks to it, right? And so not every training has to speak to an objection, but the more trainings you do that speak to objections, the more of a virtuous cycle you'll create, and the easier things will become for you. So now you've got training ideas, and you've taken time to make sure that they connect to objections as much as possible. Now you create them, right? And so this, I touched on this in the last video, or maybe the first one a little bit, but I cannot stress this enough. This is the part where people just grind to a halt. They begin to massively overthink, and I mean massively overthink creating the trainings. Please don't do that. You could be making money within 30 minutes of watching this video if you just take imperfect action and test. If you think everything through to the nth degree times the nth degree, you're probably never going to make any money. Or it's going to be very little, a very long way down the road, and it's going to be very hard to get. Do yourself a favor, give yourself permission to be seen by your audience as imperfect. Please do this. Like, again, I mentioned in an earlier video, I've coached thousands of people now, and this overthinking and getting in your own way is one of the absolute foundational biggest problems people have. If I'm saying to you, make a free training, post it on your Facebook profile, and follow the post strategy I'm about to give you, and in your mind you're saying, well, I need to get my website done first, you've lost the plot completely. You are off in the wilderness, and we may never find you, right? Your website doesn't matter. Your brand colors don't matter. Your frickin' logo doesn't matter. What matters is you use actual content to start to carve out a place for yourself in the minds of your prospects as the unique person with the unique solution who is trustworthy, competent, has authority. All of these things can be accomplished just with that. Okay? Said another way, 2002 called and they want their website back. Like, you just don't need that stuff. And you don't need your trainings to be perfect. You can do a PDF, you can do a Google Doc. Okay? Just get that stuff out of your head. And for the love of God, take action and go get those clients. So here now is exactly how I like to use my posts to get the fire starters going. The post wants to be as short as humanly possible while getting its point across. And on Facebook, they have the colored backgrounds that Facebook considers those to be memes. Whatever, it doesn't matter if they're memes or not. Here's what matters. Over and over again, it's been proven that Facebook favors reach on those kind of posts. So you need to keep the post itself short enough that you can fit it all into one of those colored backgrounds. It should also be short enough that people don't have to click to read more. So the kinds of posts I always see working the best are posts that are just variations of, you might want to write this part down. I just finished a brand new training on blank, whatever it is your training is on. Who wants it? Or just dusted off a sweet training on blank. Do you want it? Variations that are that simple. It's just a clear value. This is a training for you on this thing. It's free. Do you want it? Right? It's a clear value, and that's all you do. People will start to raise their hands. They'll be in the comments saying, I want it, I want it, I want it. And those are your leads. Now, will everybody buy on the first one? No. No. But remember I said that it's market research and it's brand authority and it's trust and it conveys your expertise. All of those things are happening. All of those things are happening. And so this is one free strategy that gives you benefit on like 5 or 6 different levels, including, but not limited to, actually getting clients. So now, I hope I've convinced you that you now know what a fire starter post is, or a fire starter training. That's what I covered in video 1. In video 2, I covered why they're important. And there's been a lot of cross, in the first video I covered whatever. But video 2, the last video, I showed you why they're important. And now in this video, I've literally walked you through how to create one, the many ways you can go about creating it, and how to post it. At this point, you pretty much have everything you need to go ahead and start getting people into conversations. So there's one final let's call this a bonus piece of training. When people say yes, they want your training, don't just give them the link to the training in the comments. Ask for permission to move into Messenger and do the talking and the qualifying in Messenger. Okay? So ask for permission to move to Messenger. And I always am very explicit about it. I always say something to the effect of, sounds good, is it okay if I message you? And I change it up so that Facebook doesn't think I'm a bot, but the essence of it is, I don't want the link appearing in the comments 35 times, because then new people don't even have to comment. They can just grab it. And I want to create as many conversations as I can from each fire starter post I do. Now, in my own routine, my own weekly strategy, I'll do one fire starter typically, and then I'll also give away a replay of a live stream. And between those, I'm typically getting into 100 to 200 conversations a week. hope you've enjoyed this. And by the way, if you like this, and if you know that you're going to have questions, and if you know that you'd like a little more support, just with your marketing strategies in general, I want to again draw your attention to, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's coming right here. Client Creation University. For the duration of time that you're on this page watching these videos, I'm offering you what I think is an insane deal. So the Client Creation University is already an insane deal. It's $175 a month, and it's taught live with me week in and week out as a lecture style training. So it's not you pay me and you go get a link and you go watch a bunch of recorded stuff. It's actual interaction and training with me. And again, normally it's $175 a month, but for you, as someone who has made it all the way through these 3 videos, I want to give you a powerful incentive to get my help dial in your organic marketing strategies. And so I'm offering month one for 27 bucks. 27 bucks to see if you like it. You can quit anytime. There's no long-term contracts. And you're going to get all the foundational stuff that supports your organic brand growth, your organic client acquisition. And if you really get into these things that I teach in the Client Creation University, you can have a thriving coaching business without having to worry about funnels, without having to worry about paid ads, without having to worry about any of the more sophisticated stuff. And I mean, I've coached thousands, hundreds have gone on to heed my advice. And now for you today, one time only, 27 bucks while you're on this page for the first month, and you can cancel after that. You can totally juke me, and it's fine. Because I know that when I get you in there, you're going to see the value. And you're going to understand that moving forward with it for 175 bucks a month is a steal. It is a stupid bargain, right? So anyway, thank you so much for watching these 3 videos. I really hope, I hope you join, but I also hope you at least put this stuff into practice and see for yourself how good it is. Because I'm telling you right now, you can be generating calls with intent, with prospects every week with just this one fire starter strategy. That's it. Now, are there ways to do more? Absolutely. Of course, I covered them all in the Client Creation University membership program. 27 bucks before you leave this page. Okay? Thanks so much. And I hope to see you in the Client Creation University.